Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good day to all of you beautiful people out there in Radio Land, and it's, I guess, a beautiful holiday. All of us are enjoying. It's a long one. Let me not say all of us, because if I say so, I may be offending one or two persons, including one or two persons at my left-hand side. So it's a good one to have here on this Tuesday edition of Money Radio. Today is the agribusiness segment of the program, and we are discussing a topic that says reviving palm oil production to boost economy. Reviving palm oil production to boost economy. I must admit, this is one topic I get angry when I am discussing palm oil production. And the reason for my anger, we'll get to know it. In the studio with me is Mr. Paul Uwadima. Mr. Paul, it's good having you again.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you are not angry with me now. I said every one of us are enjoying this long holiday.
No, why not? I assume everybody should be enjoying it.
Yes, and I'm your host, Case Hammond. Yes, in the 1960s to 1970s, Nigeria was a major producer of palm oil. In fact, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40% of the world's production of palm oil was from Nigeria. Today, 2022, Nigeria produces like 1.5% of the world's palm oil production. That is something in the neighborhood of 1.08 million tons of palm oil. That is a woeful development. And Mr. Paul,
Yeah.
how did we get here, and what's the way forward?
I think we got here basically because of the discovery of crude oil. Because before the discovery of crude oil, Nigeria was among the top producers of palm oil or crude palm oil in the world. And even other nations have to come to Nigeria to see how Nigeria is doing it, or how Nigeria was doing it at that time, including the top leaders today, like Malaysia, like Indonesia. They studied what Nigeria did and they have improved on it. Today they are world leaders in the production of crude palm oil. So we lost it when we discarded other agricultural, or we abandoned agriculture generally because we found crude oil. So that is why we are where we are today, the neglect of agriculture. Because if we had continued the way we were before the discovery of crude oil or petroleum, we would have been rubbing shoulders today with Malaysia and Indonesia in the production of crude oil, in production of crude palm oil. Today, we have become one of the world's largest importers of palm oil into the country. I think according to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, we are spending about $500 million annually to import about 3 million metric tons of palm oil annually. And this figure has also been confirmed by the central bank governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. So you can take it to the bank that this is the reality of our situation. You can imagine what that $500 million could do to this country if it had been invested in other productive sector instead of using it to import crude oil from Malaysia, Indonesia, and elsewhere.
And we're not talking about the potential to export.
Of course.
It's just import.
Yeah, we're talking about imports. because we could not be, like you pointed out, our local production is merely about 1.2 to 1.8 million. So it's not enough, and you know the gap or the shortfall being imported from outside. So the ones we produce in Nigeria is not enough to meet the domestic needs.
You know, you
So
mentioned something interesting.
There's no way we cannot import to meet the shortfall. Especially palm oil is a very important product that is needed not only for consumption, it's used for a lot of industrial uses, for cosmetics, as lubricant, and so many other byproducts that is used in the manufacturing sector. So it's a very vital product that industries can have no choice but to import when there is a shortfall.
You mentioned something interesting, and I would like to highlight that. You said Nigeria is, you talked about Malaysia and Indonesia as countries which were lagging behind Nigeria when it comes to the production of palm oil in the 70s. We are not their peers right now.
Of
You
course, we are
mentioned
not.
that.
We are not.
To put things into perspective, and I will say it again here. In 2018 or 2019, Malaysia was able to export palm oil to the tune of $18 billion. I'm not talking about the internal revenue they got, the internal revenue they got from production of palm oil. What they were able to export was $18 billion. What Nigeria was able to get from the export of crude oil in 2018 was $16.5 billion. Just to tell you how we missed it.
Yeah, of course.
By depending on crude oil. So you see, all the hype we placed on crude oil production is nothing compared to what.
The tragedy of it is even that while we are depending on the crude oil as the mainstay of our economy, we couldn't even manage it well.
Exactly.
Because if we had been able to manage our refineries well and our refineries are functioning, the windfall that many oil producing nations are benefiting today as a result of the war in Ukraine, we have been benefiting from it.
Exactly.
But we are wasting it by importation
Yes.
of the one we are using in the country.
Exactly.
That's a tragedy.
That's a tragedy.
Leadership is a serious challenge in Nigeria.
Now, Mr. Paul, I hear that from that palm tree, from the palm tree you see there on the screen growing, that there is nothing lost.
Absolutely.
Nothing lost from that palm tree.
Yeah.
Just from the palm fruit, you can get the oil. Then that chaff, they call it palm pomace. It has its own use, industrial use.
Yes.
Then that palm nut, the hard part of it.
Yes.
The
palm kernel.
The palm kernel, yes. The hard part of it.
Yes.
There is
the shell of it.
The shell of it, yes. It's used sometimes in the production of soap, or it's used in other production of other things.
Even in animal feed.
In animal feed. Aside from that, inside the shell, we have the other soft part of it, which you get palm kernel oil, which is another valuable product that can be gotten from that palm tree. Aside from that, of course, just as a side how do I put it? A side revenue earner. The local farmers actually use it to produce, while the tree is there producing palm fruits, it can be used to produce palm wine.
Yeah.
Another beautiful, delicious.
Even the broomsticks and all that.
The broomsticks are there, and then just everything
about it is
used. and that is money. And this is the soil. Nigeria has the soil to produce palm tree,
Yeah.
and from a 60%, no, 40% global production in the 1960s and 1970s to just 1.5. That is almost a complete neglect.
Total neglect, almost total neglect.
Yes.
But not total. We can't totally write off our production. We are still doing. There are things we are doing right these days, because if you look at in 2020 to 2021, in 11 months, Nigeria was able to increase its productivity of palm oil. Even Malaysia confirmed it. The Malaysia Palm Oil Corporation that monitors data as coming said because there was a reduction in importation from Nigeria, according to their record, which showed that Nigeria they lost about there was a reduction in about 8.6% of import from Nigeria.
Okay.
And that was as a result of increase in productivity in Nigeria at that period. That was between 2020 and 2021. So there is, and this is also as a result of backward integration
Okay.
that is taking place right now. Even Palm Oil Producers Association, Palm Oil Farmers Association, they have confirmed that there is an increase in investment in the sector, an unprecedented increase in investment in the sector
Which is
right
good news.
now. Because what happened was that when the palm oil was listed, among those that was blacklisted by CBN, that will not have access to forex unless they go to the black market, it forced many oil refining companies to look inward, and there have been increase in investment as a result of that. And according to their reports, many oil refining companies, that's palm oil refining companies,
Yeah.
they are patronizing local producers, and they're also investing in plantation. Even the big oil producing companies in Nigeria that are quoted in Nigerian Stock Exchange, they are involved in a lot of backward integration right now, and investing a lot in palm oil production. And the Central Bank of Nigeria has also started investing or giving out facilities, especially in South and Southeast Nigeria, to encourage the growth of palm produce.
Well, Mr. Paul,
Things are looking brighter.
Yeah, what can you say about investment? When we talk about investment, we're not just talking about investing in planting, but the quality of seedlings.
Yes,
What can you say about
it's
that?
part of the investment, because one of the challenges faced, especially by smallholder farmers, is lack of access to quality seedlings. A variety of seedlings that could be able to germinate on time and begin to bear fruit on time. You know, traditionally, the palm produce we have in the South and Southeast, it took some years before they begin to bear fruit. But technology has made it very possible so that some hybrids of palm produce have been generated through laboratory experiments and all that. And various ministries of agriculture in the Southeast and South, I think they have all these hybrid palm produce that can germinate fast and begin to yield fruit. So that is an encouragement for people to invest. You no longer have to wait for years before you start to really to enjoy the return on your investment. I think that's one of the things these big oil refining companies have taken advantage of. They are investing in large plantations. They are investing in seedlings, and government is also giving encouragement, especially through the Central Bank of Nigeria. So things are looking brighter going forward.
Great. You speak well. Let's take a breather. Let's take a short break. By the time we come back, we'll discuss more about the way forward for this for the production of palm fruits in the country, which is likely to meet local demand and possibly to export. Stay tuned, listeners.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers. You're still on to Money Radio, and this is the agribusiness segment of the program on Leadership TV. We have been discussing how Nigeria can improve productivity of palm oil to boost the economy. And still in the studio with me is our in-house analyst, Mr. Paul Wadima. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you for having me.
So, we're talking about reviving palm oil production to boost the economy. Just before we went on that break, we talked about some improvements in the production of palm oil, at least to meet local demand and possibly in the future to begin exporting again. Because, like we said from the onset, Nigeria contributed 40% of the global production of palm oil in the 1960s and 1970s. Here we are, 1.5% or 1.08 million tons a year, far below what is expected of a country like Nigeria that has comparative advantage in the production of palm oil. So, Mr. Paul, you talked about CBN intervention.
Yeah.
Yes. One thing that seems to baffle me over the past few years is that what other ministries are supposed to be doing, the CBN is actually taking charge. Take, for example, agriculture. Agriculture was supposed to have the CBN on concentrating on monetary policies. But the Ministry of Agriculture, which is supposed to be taking charge of incentivizing the growth of fruits like palm fruits, we see the CBN taking control of that. What's going on?
I don't think the CBI is taking control of it. What happened is that the Ministry of Agriculture and other sectors in the agricultural system in Nigeria, they have concentrated in the area of policy because they don't have the financial resources themselves.
So they have budget allocation.
Of course, the budget they have is not. Minister of Agriculture don't have a farm. I don't think they have a farm, so they are not directly into productivity of any kind that I'm aware of. I don't know if there's any farm anywhere, unless maybe there are some demonstration farms.
So who goes to liaise with the farmers?
There are institutes that are under the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Are you getting it? There are several research institutes under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Now, if you tell me that those institutes, they have some demonstration farms, I can agree on. I will agree with you. But in direct productivity, what they are pushing is basically the policy. Now, the central bank intervention is because the commercial banks have failed to support agriculture. You know,
Yes.
these commercial banks in Nigeria are more interested in what will give them immediate return.
3 months.
Yes. So they are ready to finance an importer than for an entrepreneur that want to go into palm oil production. Are you getting it?
Yes.
They are not ready to support a cocoa farmer the way they will support somebody who needed cash just to bring in some set of computers or to bring in mobile phone. Okay? So it is that gap because of the short-sightedness of our commercial banks. They didn't see the need to put their money in agriculture, which is almost like a longer term investment compared to importing things from America or from Europe or China. So that is basically the reason why central bank have to come in to fill the gap. And even when they intervene, the commercial banks, you see the kind of interest rate they charge. It's nothing to write home about. It does not encourage investment. It does not encourage productivity. So people are scared of going to the commercial banks to borrow money. It's almost like a death sentence to your business if you collect some of these Shylock loans that the banks are giving. So
Even
as a
though-
result of that, central bank has no choice but to intervene, because if you allow this thing to be the way it is, agriculture will continue to deteriorate in Nigeria. And you can see that central bank's intervention has done a lot of good. Whether we like some people like it or not, the central bank intervention was the reason why Nigeria didn't suffer, especially in the importation of rice during the COVID. Nigerians were eating Nigerian rice. Of course, some people can say there were people smuggling in rice, but even at that, most of the rice that we ate were produced from Nigeria, because many of these countries, as a result of COVID, they closed their country down. So you can't even import from rice from Thailand from anywhere, because their ships are not leaving their harbors to any other part of the world.
Yeah.
So it was an indication that what central bank did was noble, is commendable, and we hope that they continue to intervene in several other areas. Since commercial banks, because they are more interested in very short return on their investments, they have neglected agriculture, so that we don't go back the way we were before. Because right now, the survival of Nigeria depends mostly on the agricultural sector and the solid minerals. And
Yes.
because oil is going out of fashion, very soon many countries will stop importing crude oil or even refined oil from anywhere. So it is important that central bank begin to continue to show direction until the commercial banks began to see the need to invest in agriculture and encourage Nigerian farmers, especially the smallholder farmers. There are farmers these palm products we are talking about. There are farmers who want to have plantations, but they don't have land. They don't have access to land. Many of them, the land they have are basically their inherited land, the land that was bequeathed to them by their father or grandfather or whatever. And those lands are not very large enough to do the kind of agriculture we are dreaming for Nigeria and to increase its productivity. So they needed access to land. So they need credit to be able to buy large expanse of land, 10 hectares, 20 hectares, 100 hectares, so that they can have smallholder farmer can expand. And when he expands, productivity increases, oil production increases, jobs are created, government generates revenue, Nigeria begin to do better, even the value of the naira begin to get stronger. These are simple mathematics. It doesn't require rocket science for us to know about it.
Although, in defense of the commercial banks, the whole thing goes back to the central bank, which is supposed to be the regulator of that sets monetary policies. And now these monetary policies are not being, they are not in favor of the commercial banks, because, take for example, inflation rate in Nigeria is around 15, almost 16%. So, assuming you give a farmer who wants to invest in agriculture, palm production, assuming you give him 1 million naira to invest, within 1 year, that million naira, whatever interest it is, at 16%, if it is below 16%, that means the commercial bank is not even operating, getting what is giving out, but it's going to operate at a loss. So the blame still goes back to the commercial bank, which is not holding that monetary policy that will make sure that inflation is curbed. Be that as it may, let's let's take it from a different angle. At least it's you have clarified that it is appropriate that the central bank intervenes, and let's hope that these interventions actually bear fruit. Because once they bear
Of
fruit,
course,
all of us stand to
I'm
suffer.
giving you an example of the
Yes.
fruit.
Yeah.
I told you that during COVID,
Yes.
Nigeria didn't import rice.
Exactly.
Nigerians were self-sufficient in rice.
Right.
They were eating rice.
Yes.
No matter what people were complaining at that time, most of the rice they were eating were from Nigeria. Yeah.
Yes. And Nigeria produced rice is actually delicious. Not just delicious, but it's healthy. Very healthy.
Yeah.
I can attest to
And
that.
even most of the egg we eat in Nigeria today, they are basically Nigerian egg.
Yes.
We don't import egg that
yes,
much.
that's true again. Except
So
for the fact that we
yeah,
produce chicken feet.
Yes.
We know we import much of the inputs of chicken feed, which needs to be cut also.
Yeah. So I think we need to do, like I pointed out, smallholder farmers need to have access to land. They need to have access to land. If we are serious about increasing productivity, why this thing is, I think it should be of interest to the policymakers, to the commercial banks, and to the central bank, because the smallholder farmers are the engine room of any agricultural improvement in any nation.
You know,
It is not for the corporate oligarchs. For example, now about 5 or 6 companies that are quoted in Nigerian Stock Exchange that are into oil refining, palm oil refining.
Yeah.
They are as a result of this backward integration they are doing, they are beginning to invest in plantations. But that is not as good as it is. That is not how prosperity spread. Prosperity spread basically from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So when those people at the bottom, those in the villages, if they have the support, those who have only 1 hectare of land, and they can be able to have access to 5 hectares of land, 10 hectares of land, then that's when we know that we are really making progress. Because relying on the corporations to drive the plantation of palm produce, to me, is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So we need to take it to the grassroots. And taking it to grassroots means there must be access to land for smallholder farmers. That is where the future of increase in palm oil production in Nigeria, that is where it lies. Because if you look at our history, in the 60s and the early 70s we are talking about, those who are producing this thing were basically smallholder farmers. But there was commitment by government in supporting them and all that. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So what we need now is increase access to land. Right now, luckily for Nigeria, there are a lot of young men and women who are beginning to embrace agriculture. If there is incentive there for them, they would like to go into palm produce plantations. And we can have it all over the country, especially in the south, and southeast, and other places where rain is sufficient enough for palm produce.
Yeah,
in such a way that they have comparative advantage in the product.
Those smallholder farmers actually contribute greatly in meeting the demands. Actually, they sell to the corporates, as you said, the corporate oligarchs, in your words, and that meets much of the demand that we're talking about. Yeah, it's worth mentioning that when we talk about palm fruits, there is that one which is designed. I would say designed because some of them are genetically modified. There are some of them that are designed for industrial purposes, and some, of course, the ones that are produced locally are actually meant. That's natural for consumption, human consumption. That's what we eat when we cook egusi soup or when we cook other foods like that. So I thought we should make that distinction. Be that as it may, I think the federal government can come in also. There is this agency of government that is involved, I've forgotten the name of the agency, but it has to do with bio.
Is it biofuel? Are you talking about biofuel?
No,
Uh,
they are into these genetically modified products. And
yeah. Even some of these hybrid, they are genetically modified. Some of these hybrid palm seedlings,
Yeah.
they are genetically modified. That's
Yeah.
why they were able to be able to resist attack by diseases and
Yes.
all that, and they're able
Those
to
effects
germinate
of climate
faster.
change.
Yeah, and they can able to resist some of
The diseases
the
also.
environmental stress associated with climate
Exactly.
change and all that.
Yeah. That's great. So let's hope that in the next 5-10 years it will be a little bit up there instead of 1.5% of global production of palm oil. That's the much we can take today on Money Radio. This has been the agribusiness segment of the program on Leadership TV. Mr. Paul Wadema, it's been a pleasure having you again today, as always.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks to you, our producers, but our thanks mainly go to you who follow us loyally on this program. We value you, we treasure you. Please continue to follow us. It's because of you we make sure that this program gives you the best. So until tomorrow, we will come up with another edition of the program. I've been your host, Case Hammond. Have a happy holiday. For those of you who think tomorrow is also a holiday, it's not so. Tomorrow is work time. So enjoy the remaining few hours, and then we'll meet tomorrow for work. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.